Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, talking about Vipassana meditation and its effect on my life. So today I want to talk about depression and how Vipassana helped me with my depression. Now, fair warning, I did not go to a therapist and formally be diagnosed with depression, but just from my understanding of what depression is, I have felt this way, sometimes in my life, persistent sadness and emptiness, a loss of interest in doing things, just being on my phone, smoking weed all day, drinking, basically running away and not having a sense of fulfillment inside, like feeling empty. And it would be, persistent for months, this feeling. So by that definition, well, it's not my own definition of depression, but self-diagnosing myself and, saying I have had these feelings at different points in my life, and how Vipassana has helped me to overcome, to cure, if that's the right term for it, or to, change my mental landscape from, feeling hopeless to feeling brightness, to feeling happiness, and to feeling joy, right? And so, as I've made a video about this, but I started meditating when I was pretty young. I was like 11 years old when I first found how to do Anapana meditation. And I would have periods where I'd meditate and then I would not meditate, and I'd meditate, I'd not meditate, and these would be month chunks of months, so it would be like 2-3 months on, 4, 5, 6 months off. And at other times it would be, a little bit longer. It's not always, on that schedule. And so I think the last time that I got really depressed was during the COVID pandemic. Before the pandemic hit, I was going to yoga every day. I was meditating somewhat regularly, but mainly yoga. Yoga was my main practice. And I was also practicing, other things like kirtan a little bit, but my main practice was yoga, and that was really helpful. And of course I was working, I was going out, and then COVID hit, and I lost my job. The yoga studio shut down, and all of a sudden, I signed up for unemployment. So financially I wasn't struggling. And that was when the government had the $600 extra per week. So, financially I was not in pain, let's say. However, as time progressed through the pandemic, and I noticed that it was really hard for me to do my own yoga practice at home. I think for the first month or two, I was, doing regular yoga at home, but somewhere along the way, I stopped, practicing, missed a day and then made another excuse and then missed it. And then just being stuck at home, not being able to go outside, not being able to go see my family, not being able to see my friends. Everybody was taking COVID pretty seriously. Once it actually started rolling and there was, the government shut down and everything had to close and all of that. And so I fell into a depression. I was doing the same things every single day. Life started getting weary. Life started getting bleary. I started feeling hopeless. I started feeling sad. I started feeling, I got into a rut. I just got into a bad rut, and my mental health just declined, So I would consider that was the last time that I got depressed. And that contributed. That was for like a year, I think, in the heart of the pandemic, from like April 2020-ish, into whenever, I don't remember, but I was, feeling so hopeless, and I was like, I never want to come back here. I in my mindscape, right? My mind just did not feel great. Just the environment of my mind, the feelings that I was having, the state, the quality of my experience was just horrendous, right? It was horrible. And so I was like, I don't want to come back here. And this to me echoed other times in my life where I would stop meditating, and then, for a month or two, I'm fine, I'm floating. And then I would start to get a little more irritated, get a little more stressed, get a little more frazzled. Life starts to become a little too much, right? I was starting to notice this pattern of, when I meditate, my mental health is great. When I don't, it starts to go downhill. It just really does start to go downhill. And that's, I noticed that within myself. But this was when it finally was starting to click, and I was finally ready to take the action and to say, I will do what I can, because it is in my power, right? It's in my power to meditate. It is in my power to do things that take care of my mental health. Now, of course, during the pandemic, yoga shut down, all of that, whatever. Outside of that, it is in my hands, and I promise myself that I will not come back here. And I correlated coming back here being the depressed state, the hopeless state, and me knowing that it is meditation that guarantees for me, right, personally for me, guarantees that I don't feel depressed. And so I made a firm resolve that once I restart meditation this time, right, because every other time when I'd restart, it would just be for curiosity. It would just be like, oh, I just want to explore what's going on. I want to see what the nature of life is. Let me just meditate, for the pure sake of meditation. But the final straw during the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I need to meditate every single day for the sake of my mental health. Right? Curiosity, amazing. Seeking the depth of life, amazing. Finding the true nature of reality, awesome. And I need to take care of my mental health. I need to be proactive, and I need to be super engaged with taking care of my mental health. And for me, that is where Vipassana fits for me. Right. And, different people can have different things. I also very much enjoy yoga. Right. I try to go to yoga classes. I enjoy dancing. I try to do that. But the one thing that I have to do every single day is meditate, Vipassana. Right. And so when back in 2016, at the end of 2016, when I first discovered Vipassana, right, they had said, they say you have to meditate every day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night. When I first heard that, I was like, maybe, whatever. Like, sure, I guess. But I wasn't really sold on the idea of having to do it every day because, until that point, I was just meditating for the sake of meditating and just doing it when, I had a whim to do it. And so before coming there, and even the first couple courses, just hearing that, I was like, well, whatever, I'll try. And they always say, just try. If you can do it for a couple months, maybe the next course you can do it for a couple more months, and then maybe the next course. And then, it might take 5 courses. It might take 10 courses for it to finally click. So there's no rush. There was like this whole understanding. And so just coming to a breakthrough and finally realizing, right, getting so depressed for so long in the pandemic and making a stand and me making an inner promise that I will do my meditation every single day. And that has kept the worst of the symptoms at bay, right? It made it so that it's not that I never feel depressed anymore. Right. It's not that I don't ever feel hopeless, or I don't ever feel like, guilty about myself, or that I don't, like life or these things. Right. It comes, but it comes in small waves. It comes in small chunks, small manageable periods of time, instead of months dragging into years. Right. It's just maybe hours dragging into days. Maybe in 2 weeks, right? And so the scale and the severity have both decreased, right? I still get, it might not be called depression at that point if it's not persistent and it's just, feeling sad for a little bit, right? So it goes from a persistent sadness to feeling sad here and there, which is an amazing progress, right? It's an amazing breakthrough. And I have been meditating consistently since, since I made that promise to myself. I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna stop. And I think it's been about 3.5 years now at this point. It's 2024 now. And yeah, I have not had long periods of depression in that time period. There might be a week, there might be a couple days, there might be this and that where I feel utterly hopeless, where I feel utterly disconnected. But it isn't as bad as it was, as bad as I have felt it. And so this is the power of Vipassana. This is the power of how it's affected me and, my previous self-diagnosed depression. Again, I gotta remind that, did not go to a therapist and formally get diagnosed. However, from the persistence and from just reading the definition of it, I have not had that in the 3.5 years that I have been meditating. And so this has been very, very amazing. And what meditation also does, practicing every day, it also increases the positive qualities, right? It decreases depressive symptoms for me. And it also enhances joyful symptoms, right? I find more days where I'm just smiling and I'm joyful. I find more days where I feel good, I feel energetic, and I feel connected. I feel patient, right? I feel like I can take the world on, like things can come my way and I'll have some certain level of ability to manage that well, right? And so this enhancement of positive qualities and the lack of enhancement of negative, anyway, it reduces negative symptoms and enhances positive symptoms. If joy and happiness can be called a symptom. And so I would say if you are feeling depressed, definitely try to get some help. Go talk to somebody, talk to a therapist, get mental health help. And also, if you have, been practicing Vipassana, or you've gone to a 10-day here and there, or just once. Maybe you went 10 years ago. Maybe you went last year and, maybe you went and you were lukewarm to it and, didn't really click. It is something that does help with that. And I'm sure you've read all the research. Meditation itself does really help with depression. That is not a long stretch. So it is proven that meditation does help with depressive symptoms. So if you've taken a course before and you're not really hooked on it and you're feeling depressive symptoms, know that you have established yourself in a practice that can help with that. And if you've never taken a course, well, I wouldn't say if you are depressed to go to meditate to cure your depression, right? Because it's kind of weird in that sense, because I think the main reason to go to a 10-day, to give up 10 days of your life, to be meditating 10 to 12 hours a day, you need to have a deeper reason. And the thing with depression is, right, if your reason for going to meditate is because, for lack of a better term, you feel bad, let's just say that, then once you start to feel good, which inevitably you will, because, meditation does help with that. Now, of course, there are ups and downs, with anything, and it might bring out more pain, but in the long run, meditation does make you feel good. So now, once you start feeling good, you have lost the base of your reason to meditate, right? You wanted to stop feeling bad and you started meditating to feel bad. So as soon as you start feeling good, now the whole foundation of why you started kind of crumbles, and then you're going to stop meditating, then you're going to go back to the symptoms, then you're going to start, and it might lead to that cycle where you're doing it to get rid of negativity. Once the negativity is gone, you're going to stop doing it, and then negativity is going to come back. And so I would say if you have moderate symptoms, like, anyway, like, if you want to go, I'm not going to tell you not to go. If you are feeling called to go, you should go. However, I think you need to have a deep reason, for wanting to meditate. And it could be the abolishment of all suffering forever, right? Instead of thinking, well, I just don't want to feel bad right now, to go into it with the intention of, I want to make sure that I can do what I can to always try my best to do what I need to do to not feel bad. Now, this means try my best, keywords, that, inevitably you will feel bad, but that you will do what's in your power to make it so. So if you can if you can have a bigger intention with going to Vipassana, the more beneficial that it will be. And the road is so long with Vipassana meditation. And so you need like a much deeper reason to go. And so even with depression, right, it's like to cure depression across your whole life versus just to cure what you're feeling now, if that makes sense. That would be my advice, is to expand the intention. If you're new, to expand the intention of why you go for 10 days. And at the same time, if you are going to go for 10 days, you are already probably feeling a strong urge to go. So, just go. Just go. So anyway, I've, wanted to just say I definitely felt great joy, great happiness, and the impact of Vipassana on my depression has been magnificent, and like I said, there is a correlation. You take care of your mind, it will be in a better state, not a perfect state, not that it doesn't dip from state to state, but majority, more and more so, to be in a more joyful state, and less so in a depressive downstate. So that is my experience with Vipassana. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment and subscribe. All right, take care.